Welcome back to the Strategic Veteran. I'm your host, Adam Peters. And there comes a point for a lot of us where the path we thought we were supposed to walk, climbing that ladder, chasing the next title, just stops making sense. For Rachel Speckman, that moment came when her family planning journey knocked her off course and forced her to reckon with who she really wanted to be. It wasn't just about changing jobs, it was about building a life that finally felt true to her values, instead of chasing someone else's version of success. Now, Rachel's work is all about helping high performers break free from what's expected and find the courage to start over, to choose work that pays the bills but doesn't drain your soul. If you're feeling stuck or you've ever lain awake wondering if it's all just a little too hollow, this one's for you. So let's get into it. Rachel, welcome to the show. So happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored to be here.
Yeah, well, let's talk about it. Where did you grow up and what shaped your journey into this work? How did you end up doing what you're doing now?
I grew up in New Jersey, upper middle class Jewish home. And I'm going to say what shaped me. So many things shaped me. I think when I really can get quiet, what shaped me, we'll start on a serious note, is that my grandparents were Holocaust survivors. And I think what shaped my father was their experience and losing everything, and my father's clinging to job security, which forced me to cling to job security. And at a certain point, I realized I could cling to security and be quite miserable, or I could follow what was calling me for some time, which was actually becoming a therapist, and coming from a family that also, we don't talk about mental health, all of those things. So there was just a lot of identity pieces, all the yarn was coming apart or unspooling, whatever you want to call it. And this was all after, as you said in the intro, a long family planning journey that really knocked me off of my feet. And so I have a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old. And when my 7-year-old was about 6 months, I basically said, I'm not enjoying what I'm doing as much. And I was doing a pretty public, awesome looking job at the time.
Were you born in the 80s?
83.
Yeah, so I was born in 85. We grew up exactly the same, right? Grandfather, World War II. I didn't have grandparents that were Holocaust survivors. However, one side of my family, they were immigrants from Italy, Sicily, in fact. And then, the other side of the family both served in World War II. My grandfather and my grandmother, she made shoes in factories, and he was a World War II medic. So I resonate with what you're saying. Our childhoods were shaped by how our parents were raised by their parents and all of that. And so same thing. It's job security. I see it right now. My dad's 67 years old. He's done the same thing for 40 years. It's job security. He bitches about spending money and wishing. It's always, I wish I would have, I wish I had, I wish I did do this. It's too late now. He recognizes that it's too late. And I think a lot of what drives me is kind of that also. Like, none of that shit resonated with me, but also I'm having a way more fun making my own way right now. So I love that you pointed that out, because it's not lost on me that we're kind of we're this like weird generation too, right? Like in between technology and not having technology. And like, I think we're in kind of a good spot, actually.
Yeah, I think so. And on my mom's side, my grandfather was also went through the Great Depression and served in Pearl Harbor. And you think about that time and the duty to provide, the
Yeah.
duty that was the duty
Yeah.
to do. And so I to answer your question, the more I step into what I'm doing, both therapeutically with clients and then career coaching, I call it like career alignment wise, it does feel I'm going to say ancestral, actually.
Okay. I like that. I do like that. So what was the doing the family planning, having, a 6-month-old, that's where you really decided to step out and pursue becoming a therapist, I assume, correct?
Essentially, that was, I, yes, I basically had I'm married to a woman. Together, we wanted to have a family. and I wanted to be the one to carry. And we basically went through a lot. I went through a lot. My body went through a lot. And when I did have my son, I basically at that point had just said that this, whatever was filling me up before is not filling me up at all anymore. The easiest way I describe it is I was helping companies get started, grow, operations, budgeting, project management, those kinds of things. That's what I was doing. And I said I would sit down with a company and I would say, how's your company doing? And by the way, how are you? And they would start talking about how they are. And then they would talk about their company. And I would say, hold on, actually, I care a lot more about how you're doing than how your company's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat with that for a long time. Go, okay, what do I do if I care more about how a person is doing? I had a client, a career coaching client, and he said, and this is, I hope in this conversation we'll dismantle all the systems, but he said, I will get paid more to work with a computer than I will with a human being in our society.
Wow. Unfortunately, I think that's probably going to continue to be true with AI and everything coming forward now.
100%. And it wowed me because I knew it and I know it and okay, but we have to get to what do you enjoy doing? What's the middle path or whatever that looks like for you?
Right.
And for me, I realized, okay, well, how do I have a desire, a deep connection with people. How do I don't get paid for it? How do I literally, I was like, how do you get paid for working with people?
Talking to people. Yeah, no, it's an interesting question. I love this. I love where this is going to, because I see this as, I was a victim of this. 13 years in the Army, was medically retired 9 years before I was actually going to retire. So I was a career guy, right? And blindsided completely by it, because it's see the doctor, med board process starts. And at the time, 18 months later, you're out, right? Like zero preparation. You don't really have time to think about it. Also, a big part of the problem is I joined at 17 years old. So I'm going from the authority of my parents to the authority of the military. Never had a chance, because I started, basic training, get to my first unit, train up, deployed within the first year. And then I would spend the rest of my career deployed every other year. I never had a chance to develop an identity outside of the Army, right? So really lost when I was getting out. And I was an infantry guy, so a lot of the job description doesn't translate to the civilian world. I can't kick doors in and shoot people in the face in the civilian world. I can do that in the Army world, right?
Particularly, well, you can do that in the civilian world, but I think it has different consequences.
It has a lot different consequences for sure. I mean, some of the consequences are still the same. However, it's a non-starter, right?
I'm with you. It's not a transferable skill set as such.
No, not really. It's nice to know that I'm capable of it, but however, I digress. Anyway, no, I think it's important because I talk to a lot of veterans, and my mission, if you're not familiar with it, is really to change the TAP process. It's a blanket fix for an individual problem right now. We're not meeting people where they're at. We're not helping them discover who they are, finding purpose again. We're just funneling them into, you have education benefits, go get the degrees. You're a veteran, everybody's going to want to hire you. Congratulations, you'll make six figures. That's what success looks like. And I argue that's all bullshit, because if I'd have known that I was going to end up where I'm at right now, doing all the things I'm doing, I would have used my GI Bill in a very different way. Mm-hmm. Also, if you're a therapist, you'll understand priming. Like, we're priming men and women getting out by saying you're a veteran, everybody's going to want to hire you. At the same time, we know 80% of jobs on job boards are fake. They're not real. We're seeing veterans apply to 1,400 jobs before they get a help desk job in an IT career field, right? Like, this is out of control, and they're not doing anything to help it. So a lot of what I hear is a lot of people are being forced into a career that mirrors their career from the military. So if you're a logistician, or we're in the logistics MOS, or you're an MP, it's like, just go do that same thing in the civilian world. But what I'm finding when I talk to these vets is like, Adam, I just did this for 27 years. I don't want to do this anymore. And nobody's telling me it's okay to switch something. So as someone who, with a 6-month-old, after putting yourself through kind of, it sounds like hell to get pregnant and conceive and then have your child, you make this big pivot kind of in the middle of your life with all these other circumstances going on, which is, it's already hard enough to transition into something new, to bet on yourself, right? For me, becoming an entrepreneur, saying, fuck corporate America, I never want to do this again. And that's the pushback I get from a lot of these people is I'm scared. I don't know what to do. It's a lot of risk. What do you say to those people? Because quite frankly, I think it's fucking excuses is what it is. They're afraid of making a decision. And I genuinely feel like you have as much control in corporate America as you do in the entrepreneurial realm or pivoting to becoming a therapist or whatever. So what is your process for that? Because I think it's important.
Yes. Thank you for asking. I mean, so the number one situation that I would say comes up initially, and I ask everybody in the intake form, even before we start working together, I say, what % happy are you in your career? And most people find me at 20 to 40%.
Sounds about right. I really do believe that's accurate, for sure.
And I have a whole bunch of behavior questions I ask. When was the last time you invested in yourself, just making a change, those kinds of things.
Let's define that, first of all. So what does it mean to invest in yourself? Because I say this to veterans, my audience all the time, and I still get questions. Well, what do you mean invest in myself? I use my GI Bill. It's like, yeah, but did you actually go to that community and pay that $100 a month to get inside that community and learn information you're not going to find anywhere else from people who are actually doing it? Because that's investing in yourself. You know,
investing in yourself is it's multiple parts. I mean, first, I think when you hear the word invest, you think, oh, finances. No. I'm not even talking about finances. Maybe that'll come. But I'm talking about actually saying, this is what I work on so much in therapy. We all are the product of the water in our fish tanks.
Mm-hmm.
And if we want to change the water, nobody around me is changing the filter except for me.
Right.
Nobody's turning up the temperature. Nothing changes unless we do, right? And so then that is taking 100% responsibility. I mean, truly. And this is very much in corporate and whatever you're doing. I'm not discounting mental health and struggle, for sure. And if you're not serious about life is like wrestling us all the time. If we're not wrestling it back,
yeah.
And it's hard. I mean, it's so funny. Like, the podcast that's viral, like We Can Do Hard Things. I think the name is it's like we actually have to convince ourselves physically, mentally, relationship wise. It's hard. It's really hard. There's a reason I look at my dog and think, next time, please, set me up as such,
Right.
And even my dog's getting older and she's stiff and wobbling. And I'm like, it's hard for her too.
Yes.
Life is hard. And so I do think that when we can admit or can kind of say, okay, let's think about that 20%. All right. Well, I say the goal is to get to 80% enjoyment. People say that's ridiculous. I could never get to. Well, you're not going to get to 80% tomorrow.
No.
You're definitely not going to go to 80% by looking at Instagram and LinkedIn and
Absolutely
everything else's
not.
journey. That's going to just
not going to do that. Comparison's the thief of joy.
Down.
Yeah.
So that's one of the first things I want to tell your audience, which is the more in touch. This is a very easy way to invest in yourself. Just right now, how are you feeling in your body? Do you feel expansive? Do you feel excited about where you're going? Do you feel like, I love cursing. Do you feel like, fuck no?
Yeah.
Everything in me wants to close off. Okay. Well, either way, that is a place to start.
Right.
Because we know, and it's so basic, but especially if you have children or, you can see when your kid runs up to a friend and et cetera, or runs up to a teacher and loves them. How do we recreate that in adulthood? That kind of openness, that kind of excitement and joy. And it's going to look different in adulthood, but it's definitely, I think some of us very often, you're like, well, that was for the youth. No, it's not. It's really not. So the permission to invest in yourself is to say, this is hard. I'm going to do a hard thing. I start every single thing I do with clients is mindset.
Yeah.
Because I say it's look at the poster behind you or whatever you have, right? If that's been stuck to the wall for a very long time, it's going to take us a lot of elbow grease to get it off.
Yep, it really is.
It really is. And you might need to get a friend, and you might need to do this, and you might need to grab a tool, and then it might look really ugly afterwards because we have to kind of undo what's been sticking us.
I love this.
What the alternative is, we just stay, and it sucks.
Yeah.
Because what you described earlier, I call it my largest adult calculated risk: leaving my job, going back to school full time, selling a property so I could go debt free, having a 6-month-old. When I arrived to my first internship in social work school, which was at a nursing home for people with advanced MS, advanced Parkinson's, it was the hardest and most soul-filling moment. I was like, I made the right choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you can say, it's like a trapeze. I always say, like, we're holding onto the trapeze. This one isn't working. I'm going to have to grab another one, but I'm going to have to be free fall for a moment.
Yeah, for sure. And it's so important. You said mindset is the first thing that you cover with all of your clients. I think it's the first thing that should be covered with all veterans getting out, because we're stuck in this fixed mindset of, just the military lifestyle. It's all fixed mindset. And in order to be successful on the outside and start to, I call it heal, is you really have to switch to that growth mindset. And like you're saying, start investing in yourself. That's physically, that's mentally, that's emotionally, energetically. It's not just monetarily, right? And all of those things are all things that we already do in the military. Every morning starts with PT. Every single morning, right? Which is supposed to be kind of a maintenance thing. You're supposed to be doing more on your own to kind of get in better shape. However, it's the first thing we all abandon when we get out. And then what happens? We start to tank our energy because we start gaining weight, and we're no longer, as active as we were before. And it's quick. It happens really quick.
Yeah.
And then because you're gaining weight, your mental health quickly starts to decline because now you're fat and miserable. And I can say all of this because at my heaviest, I was 321 pounds. You know what I mean? So I've been through this, lost it all, and come out the other side. And so just seeing all of that, it like, I understand how it all works. And like, it's awesome to see somebody else who has no affiliation with the military whatsoever has figured all of this out too, and is running her own successful coaching program, talking about the same things that I'm talking about. It's awesome.
Wait, Adam, I'm going to do something real time to demonstrate. Okay.
Yeah.
I learned very quickly that sitting does not work for me, and that when I work for myself, I sit a lot. So I got a standing desk and I got a walking treadmill. So I'm going to make this a walking podcast.
Hell yeah.
How does that sound to you?
That sounds great. I always thought about doing this.
This is what I mean by attuning, being like, oh, my muscles are getting really, I call it teacher's butt because I was a teacher and you can feel it.
Yeah.
You're like, nope, I've been sitting for too long.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to move my body, because when I move my body, I asked my trauma professor in social work school, how do you deal with this every day? And she said, the same way I deal with my entire life. She said, I move heavy shit as often as I can.
Yeah, and I think this is so important, Rachel, because I'm testing an app for a veteran buddy of mine. It's a fitness app. And I started, it tracks all my activities because I have a Whoop and I have an Apple Watch and whatever. I'm super into, my mission is to live to 120. The Bible says that I can do that. And if I take care of myself, which I'm 40 years old, and right now my Whoop age is 36. So I'm doing okay, right? That's awesome. Considering I was at my heaviest 321 pounds, pre-diabetic, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, completely reversed everything. But I've worked out, trained for over 1,000 minutes this month. And it's when I started thinking about that and putting that into perspective, it's this is, I think, a lot of why I'm able to put out 80 podcasts a year and, do the plant medicine partnership retreat stuff and do the AI stuff, is because I prioritize my own physical and mental health through exercise. It's very much one and the same for me. And while a lot of people might say, oh, that's just way too much time investment into physical fitness, I argue that it allows me to invest more time in the things that make me happy.
100%. And that's what I mean by investing. Look, everything that goes right today is on me. Everything that goes wrong today is on me.
Yeah. Right.
That's
really
it.
is.
I mean, obviously, I'm going to get my support. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to have to do my client notes. I'm going to have to do all the things that I need to do. But really, the permission to change and to grow, it's really uncomfortable. I'm pushing myself in a whole bunch of ways with my business right now, and it's uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable. And I think just getting more and more comfortable with being uncomfortable, that is a major way of investing in yourself.
It's such a cliche too, because you hear it all the time, all the self-help books out there, all of that, but until you truly live it, you don't really understand. It's also kind of like we talked about 3 things in the green room, right? Identity, purpose, community / network, right? So the self-help books talk about your network as your net worth. Well, until you have a network, you don't really understand the power of a network, a quality network, not just collecting people to be collecting people.
Right.
And I think it's really important that we're talking about this, because these are important things. Like, being uncomfortable, I think, is how we're supposed to go through life, actually. I really think that. I don't think that we're supposed to be comfortable as creatures. If you look at the evolution of humanity, we were hunters and gatherers, right? Like, we didn't live in giant cities where we had unprecedented access to food. I think being uncomfortable allows us to reach our full potential and truly be happy. I don't think being comfortable is true happiness at all. I think it's an illusion.
Yeah, and I'll say something on the mental health front on this, which is it's so easy, 100% myself included, to numb out.
Yes. Oh, we got cannabis, we got alcohol, we got other drugs, we got just TV, cell phones,
exactly.
Everything.
Yeah, and I think there's relaxation and healthy escape, and then there's avoidance.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if I answered your question.
You did. No, it's and that's just it. Like, I think this is all important dialogue, because this will help you determine how to make that transition into the thing that doesn't suck the soul right out of you. And your tagline is awesome, all over your website, all of that, right? I've been saying that for the better part of 2 years. It's like, we as veterans listen to all the noise. Somebody usually forces us into the first job that comes along. We become miserable in corporate America because what we're doing just instinctively does not resonate with us on a soul level, and it's really sucking the soul out of us. And then usually we end up doing the thing that is plaguing our community and taking our own lives because we feel like we don't fit. And so I just want you to talk about your whole process. How did you come to realize, like, this is a problem? A lot of people are doing this, not just people who are getting out of the military, but civilians alike. Particularly, you specialize in working with women, which I think is amazing. This can apply to all the female veterans out there, because I know I'm not, like, uniquely qualified to talk about their problems and all of that. So I just want people to understand, like, where you're coming from, what you're actually doing, and how they can leverage you to maybe make that transition from the military to civilian life a little bit easier.
Yeah. Well, let me share. I'm going to pause this is what I do. I work out, then I pause. I've actually transitioned a little bit. So I work with women, and I'm working with, I say, across the genders. It doesn't matter to me. I'm working with everybody. Right. Because as I've joked, soul sucking does not just apply to women. It applies to everyone. Unfortunately. So here's a little bit of what actually happened to me, and here's how I like to help people. I started my career in education. I loved working with kids at that time. And I quickly learned that classroom management, classroom politics, school politics were not for me. I transitioned to working in nonprofits with kids, and I learned quickly that I liked the operations, the budgeting, the networking, those kinds of things. So I started doing an MBA part-time, and that's when I went on my family planning journey, unexpectedly so. When I came back, like I said, I said, I am in the wrong room.
Hmm.
When I finally started working with a coach and made my big change, this is actually really when the magic happened, not just for me personally, but because I had built a strong community. People said, "You seem so much happier." And also, a lot of people were like, "Oh my gosh, you're crazy for taking that risk. You're what?" Like, people are like, "Are you okay? What's going on in your life?" I mean, because I was working with like investors, like, "You're becoming a social worker. What do you?" So,
Right. It's funny how they judge, but
oh
it's
my
not. It's
gosh, the judgment is so strong. And this is what I have to say for everybody people are so worried about what people are going to say. And of course, like, we're reputational creatures, we do care. So I don't want to discount that. I also want to say, you and I are talking. You're going to put your head on your pillow tonight with your choices, and I'm going to put my head on my pillow.
that's it. You're not living my life. So who are you to tell, oh, I can't believe you did that? Well, you know what? Just because you wouldn't do it doesn't mean I can't do it. And
The
I
best
just,
advice I got from my boss when I was pregnant with my son was, he said, "Can I give you some advice?" I said, "Okay." He said, "Be really mindful of whose advice you take."
what a great advice. Like, but seriously though, because
But it's the same thing for your career. You're going to say, "Oh, I'm making this change," or, "Oh, I'm doing this thing." Oh my gosh, you're crazy. Okay, well, but are they a person whose career you respect? Are they a person who. So just to kind of go back to my process, what happened is, um, through social media, just through like my connections, people are like, "You seem happier. How did you make this choice?" And I started sharing that I was. I have a whole thing on my website, like literally how I ended up actually making this choice, which was I was on an international flight watching Moana crying, and I said, "This is something's happening here." Okay, it was my first time watching Moana, and I was like, "Have you seen Moana?"
I have not. No.
Okay, well, she follows her dream, and it's a beautiful story actually. And I'm a very big water person, and I was like, Moana is a Disney character living her life, and I'm not living mine. And um, it was a moment. It was really a moment. It was
Well, nothing like a cartoon to have an
it's
existential
called The Dark
crisis
Knight of the
on an international flight.
on an international flight. People were like, "Are you okay, ma'am?" I'm like, "I'm fine. I'm working.
Oh, yeah.
Snake skin is okay. Snake skin is shedding." So, um, and then people that I had worked with, because I'd run internship programs, I had run a whole bunch of different things. Students said, "I'm not happy. Can you help me?" And I was like, "You want me to help you? I'm just figuring it out myself." And that is when I started the coaching. It came very naturally to me. It comes very naturally to me. And when I work with people, I am trying to help them get to one of four outcomes. So I'm very outcome driven. The first outcome, so it's all about mindset, transformation, and then accountability. Why are we at the place where things suck? Why are you at 20% happiness? Would you drive a car that was 80% falling apart? Would you live in a house that was 60% falling apart? No, you would not. How did we get here with our careers?
Right.
What did we ignore? What do we let slide? Not from a shaming perspective, but from okay, well, financially I had to do what I had to do. Great. Are you still in that same place? Let's make a plan to get you out of that place. I work closely with a financial planner because you can't make a career change without having a financial plan in place. We
Right.
all have bills to pay. I am not here to persuade anyone to be impulsive. In fact, slow and steady for a change is the best way to be.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm the same way. I recommend you take a long, hard look at your finances, and I bet you'll find plenty of places where you can cut some shit out that will allow you to make this decision.
Absolutely. And that's where you have to get really clear with your values, your priorities. So what I do with people is we figure out, how do they get this stuck? What are their top values, their top skills, and the top problems they want to be solving that actually light them up? Do they
Mhm.
want to be doing this by themselves, with a team, with a small team, a large team, extrovert, introvert, corporate, nonprofit? So we're doing this whole map of who they are. And then we say, okay, great. Can you do this internally at your own job? Can you repitch yourself and say, actually, this is my favorite part of the job, and this is going to have the best ROI for the company? Do they say, I'm actually in the wrong room entirely, I need to make a large pivot? And if so, let's set you up. What's missing? Do you need a degree? Do you need a certification? Whatever. Then do you want to do what I call fractional work? Do you want to help other people produce their podcasts? Then you get a little bit, so then you're building this kind of quote side hustle, but you're actually putting it together in a business package. Or do you want to do something entirely different? Like, do you want to start a company? Or I have somebody who's like leaving to start a restaurant.
Oof.
And that is, I know.
Oof. No, thank you.
Nope. I mean, but that's been his lifelong dream.
But that's the risk he's willing to accept, and I'm not. Right.
Absolutely. But it's also
more power to him.
Food is his love language. So he wants to, right? So he has his own motivation for being invested in that.
Absolutely. Get after it. Right?
And for taking on that.
It's not a direction I would go, but that's great.
That's okay. That's what makes the world go round.
That's
right?
it. Right.
And so everything is about repurposing your own skill set to figure out what is the best course of action in the next, let's call it, people are like, well, is this my forever choice? No, we're getting you out of the hole, but we're not getting you out of the fryer and into the pan.
Mm-hmm.
We are being very thoughtful about aligning. I call it reverse engineering your career search. So you just said you get out of the military. People say you should go do this thing. Okay, let's pause. I mean, I'll use you as an example if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
What was, I get a little sense of kind of what you did day to day. But what would you say was if your favorite day? What were you doing?
I don't know that I had a favorite day. I did 50 months of combat. So for me,
wow.
it was pretty rough. And that's what I mean. Like, I think leadership in general was what I loved the most about the military, which makes sense about where I've ended up now, right? Like building this brand and tackling veterans issues and getting to lead all branches. So
yes.
I guess to play along with where you're going with this, what was my favorite part, my favorite day? Was those days where my subordinates would come to me for advice and I would get to talk to them on a human level and actually be a leader to them. And it served me well because I still mentor those kids. They're still in to this day. And I've been out a decade, which is awesome, right? So that was my favorite part. And I think just going back to the day that I got out, I actually didn't have people in my ear trying to push me into anything. The only thing they were trying to push me into was using the GI Bill benefits. 2015 was also a lot different than what's going on now. I knew at some way, shape, or form, I still wanted to be a leader. That's all I knew. And I didn't know what that looked like in the civilian world. And I didn't get good advice either.
See, what I heard in that, and I teach a class at a university called Career Clarity and Mental Health. And so we can use ChatGPT, we can use a support group, we can use a coach to really clarify like what it is that was underneath what you just said.
Right.
So what I heard you just say is I'm not gonna say your favorite day, the skill that lights you up is connecting with others.
That's it. Yep.
Is providing guidance, input, inspiration, pushing them. If I had put you in front of a computer the first day and said, just do this data entry, you'd be like, what am I doing? By the way, you're going to get paid really well for doing this. That would have been a soul-sucking moment for you.
Yeah, I'd have been completely miserable.
Because you're not at all aligned. And so many of us are truly misaligned with what actually fills us up. We judge ourselves. We say, well, that's not going to pay the bill. Well, X, Y, and Z. That is the noise. We need to turn that down.
Yeah.
And we need to get creative and say, who's doing this? So I don't know how you started your business, but one of the things I help a lot of people with is I call it, who are your professional crushes?
Yes.
Who are your company crushes?
Well, yeah, look at the people around you doing what you want to be doing and model yourself after them.
Exactly. And say, I like what they're doing here. I don't like this there. I like how they present themselves. Excellent. I mean, we're all trying to build something. Everybody has to start somewhere. And it's intimidating and it's hard.
Well, and this is ingenious too, Rachel, because it's the same way that I used to teach my soldiers how to build the leadership skills as they would climb the ranks. It's you look at the good and the bad leaders you have, and you take the good things that you like that work from you from those leaders, and then you look at your toxic leaders and you're like, I know that I don't ever want to be like that. And then you start to develop your own leadership style through climbing the ranks. It's no different than what you're talking about for starting a company or getting into corporate America or whatever. Like, it's the same process.
So let me, on that note, I like to give exercises during the podcast so that people aren't, I'm sure they want to hear us talk, but that they actually have things that they can walk away with. So
Right.
I call this your internal wins resume. So
Okay.
pull up every job you've had, every high school, even clubs you were in, who cares? Summer camps. What were your favorite moments and why? What were you doing? Who was around you? Were you by yourself? Were you with a book? Were you with a team? What were your least favorite moments? And when you start to do this, then again, throw it in ChatGPT. What are the top 3 themes from this? What are the things that I'm drawn to? And the next time you're applying to a role, this is where I have people actually design their dream role before they start applying to things.
Yeah.
Because then you're also like manifesting that and growing it. And then you're really networking yourself much more strategically.
Hey, manifestation's a powerful tool. I don't know why more people don't do it.
Tool. Or look at the last 5 jobs you've applied to. Write down the top bullets that you saw that were the most that you were most excited about. How do you start to craft your dream job from that? So these are sort of low-hanging fruit ways that you can start to invest in. I call it applied introspection, really understanding what lights you up and why.
I love that. I love it so much. Well, Rachel, I know we're coming to the end of the time here because you've got to get, and I want people to be able to reach out to you and find you. I think that you have some incredible insights. I think we're so much aligned in how we're approaching just transition in general, I guess I would call that, or just not having that soul, because I've identified all the same things that you're talking about right now, just on my own through experience. And now I spout those for free to all of my brothers and sisters coming out, because they don't have to make the same mistakes I did. They don't have to go to flight school to find out that, nepotism's rampant in the aviation industry, and that at 35 years old, before I get to my first airline, I'm never going to be able to climb the corporate ladder and get to the place that I want. That the insurance industry is scummy, and that they just want warm bodies to sell as much as they can without teaching you about chargebacks or selling or all of this. I've made all the mistakes so that they don't have to, and I can give you advice, and like, you've already talked about it a couple of times. You just haven't said it the way that I say it. There's a feeling in your gut that you get. Your intuition will tell you a whole lot about the role that you're in and whether or not it's aligned with you or not. So if you're waking up every morning sick at your stomach to go to work, that's probably your intuition telling you you're doing something that's not in alignment with you. You should probably actually address that. Look in the mirror, have the conversation with yourself, and figure out exactly what the fuck is going on with that, because your body's telling you, it's telling you that you're doing something wrong, and that you've danced around that or alluded to that this whole conversation. So I just want people to be able to reach out to you if they want some coaching from you, if they want to. Your website's immaculate, by the way. I loved your website as well. So there's a lot of good information on there. There's testimonials on there. You can see all the people that have worked with you, and I just think that you would be a powerful asset for those brothers and sisters getting out.
Thank you. It would really be my honor. Truly. So you can find, so the name of my company is called Made for More Coaching. And that came from a client who was also leaving a toxic work environment. And I basically started yelling at him and said, "You're made for more than this toxic company." And he said, "That's the name of your company." I said, "You are right." Oh my gosh, that is the name of my company. So it's madeformorecoach.com. I do have a free training on there. I do consultations with people. I'm very happy to understand. Some of this is so universal and some of this is so individualized. And every single person on the planet needs support. We cannot do this alone.
Yep. 1,000%. People are the key to our success, period. End of story. And it's the right people, not the wrong people, obviously, but this thinking that you can do this on your own. Look, I'm guilty of it. most of my brothers and sisters are guilty of it because we were raised in an environment where you don't ask for help. That's weakness. Also, you and I being born in the mid '80s, that was very much the mentality. We don't even talk about mental health issues, especially as a male, like crying and all. That's not okay. Like, you're supposed to swallow it. We don't talk about the things that hurt us, whatever.
Yeah.
No, people and talking about this shit is how we get better and how we live the life that we're meant to live, period. End of story. I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much for being here, Rachel. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Rachel Speckman. Please go to her website, reach out to her if you found anything interesting here. I'm sure she's more than happy to talk to you about all of this stuff. And just please get out of your own way and like actually have the conversation with yourself, change your mindset, and like invest in yourself because it's important. Until next week, we'll see you with another awesome episode. Take care, everybody. That's our show, and I'm truly thankful you've joined us at The Strategic Veteran. If our conversation today sparked curiosity or if you're ready to elevate your game, I'm here to help. Visit thestrategicveteran.com for exclusive show notes and resources or to book a coaching session directly with me. Take a moment to subscribe to our podcast and share your review. Your support makes all the difference. For more insights and daily strategies, let's connect on LinkedIn and keep the conversation going. Remember, this isn't just a podcast, it's your strategic advantage in action. Until our next rendezvous, stay bold and continue the mission.